Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Open Your Eyes to the Universe. I'm Carolyn Ward, sitting in for Gabrielle Martin this week, and it's a pleasure to have you with us again for another episode. And I would say another episode of very deep wisdom that comes from people's rich experience in life. For those of you who don't know, Open Your Eyes to the Universe is a series of contemporary talks, conversations, open-eyed meditations and interviews with people who inspire and uplift others by sharing their wisdom, insights, and experiences. Last month on Universe, we were exploring self-compassion with Dr. Sarah Eager, and Sarah's from the UK. And tonight, also coming from the European region, we're in the company of Antonella Ferrari, and you can tell where she's from Italy. And she'll be taking up the conversation on the language of love. If there is a part of the self that needs healing and growth, then it's the heart, the most vital inner sacred space. One of the sayings that I most find impactful and truthful is something that comes from the healing path of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step program. And they say the longest journey in the world is the journey from the head to the heart. So really, Universe takes up this journey very often, if not all the time. And tonight, very especially with Antonella. We'll explore with Antonella the 6 qualities that allow us to communicate from the heart. Let me introduce Antonella to you. She studied Oriental language and culture, both in Italy and Milan, and in Japan, before establishing a successful fashion business in the Emerald Coast in Sardinia. Sounds very exotic, doesn't it? Antonella has been a daily practitioner of Raj Yoga meditation for 33 years and presently coordinates Raj Yoga meditation centers throughout Italy. During this time, she's written 3 spiritually focused books: The Angel Within, The Song of Freedom, and Dewdrops. Antonella now works as a trainer in communication. So everyone, as always, we welcome your questions, and thanks to those who've sent them in advance. If you have access to the chat box, feel free to write your questions there, and we'll ask them in the Q&A time at the end of the talk. Antonella last visited and toured Australia in 2018. So Antonella, it's lovely to have you with us online. Welcome back down under, and we're looking forward very much to what you're going to share with us tonight about the language of love.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you everyone for having me here today. This morning for me, evening for you, and with this incredible, powerful topic of the language of love. When we think of language, we usually think of words, verbal communication, and words surely play a major role in people's feeling, people's mood, people's understanding. But words can move people, can block them, and I think we all have this kind of experience. And yet we live in a society where it's so normal to be disrespectful, critical, extremely judgmental, rude, unkind, underestimating the power of words and the hurt they can provide. But language is actually much more than just words. I like the idea that the language of love is the language of feelings. And what can feelings do? and it's the language of vibrations, it's the language of the eyes. And recently somebody was sharing that his grandfather was meditating and he spoke very little, was very introvert man, but his eyes were communicating so much love. And his favorite language was actually a loving silence, and he used his eyes. So how powerful can be the language of a silent sharing through the eyes, when our eyes can create a contact with each other. And that's an expression of connection, of love. And the language of love, Caroline mentioned the qualities connected with this. I think the first one I wanted to share is encouragement. The language of love is the language of encouragement, encouraging people when they are stuck. It might provide such a difference in people's feeling, just to tell them, you can do it. I believe in you. They're just few words, but they can change people's life, people's attitude. And it's like giving a positive push in their destiny. I remember in a high school, or maybe earlier than that, I was doing a lot of sports, and I was doing running with obstacles, and of course swimming. I come from a village on the coastline, so sport was very much part of my life. But at school we had, for the first time, we were trying to the high jump. And as I'm still now, I was quite small. And so looking at the bar and I thought it's too much for me. I'm too small. And the other girls were much higher. So I was like withdrawing me from that. And the teacher came and she realized that. And because I was quite good in all the other sports, so she assumed that I could do it. And she really pushed me in overcoming that kind of insecurity. And so I did it, and it went on very well, and I did it for some time. And I felt, like somebody just pushing you a bit forward with their words, with their encouragement. They actually shape some other people's destiny in a way. Who knows, maybe that teacher did shape my destiny with that kind of encouragement. And I think we are very much instrumental for each other, to encourage each other. And it does take a little bit of attention to check other people's feeling. Listening is a language of love. Listening seems to be a passive attitude, but implies so much attention and care about people's feeling and where they are at, and when they are expressing their weaknesses or limits that will prevent them to express their best. Just enchanting, I think, to realize that we can be instrumental in a way to draw people's best, their best out of them. And we can be instrumental for each other in that way. So the language of love is the language of encouragement, and is also the language of uplifting when you are broken. In Japan, country that is very dear to me, I came to know the Brahma Kumaris there. In Japan, when a ball breaks, they put it back, joining the broken pieces with gold lines. And it becomes like a work of art, emphasizing the beauty of what was once broken. It means that when somebody suffers a damage or a breakdown, sometimes it comes out of that experience even more human. So everything you have gone through, that you have suffered or whatever, has not really made you broken, just trained you to be better, to have deeper realization of where I'm at and who am I really. So we learn from what happened to us and we become better people after that. And when an object is decorated with golden lines, it's like saying, look at life. It has taught me a lot. It has made my experience precious. It has made me gold. So I like so much this art. The Japanese used a lot. And so the language of uplifting is the language that will tell you, don't be ashamed of what happened. Just learn and move forward, move to the next level, higher level, with the value of your experience. And this is a language of love. Accepting what happened will be like just painting those shards with gold paint. And also the language of praise and appreciation is surely a language of love. We don't know how many battles people are going through, but for sure, everybody's going through their own stuff. Now more than ever, I think COVID and all the situation we are eventually right now red, that means full lockdown. So everybody within this is going through so much stuff. But a principle, a spiritual principle, a criteria is to be anyway kind. I think it requires courage to be kind, in spite of people's rudeness maybe, or they might try to damage you. It does happen. And yet remaining kind requires courage and requires the idea or the consciousness of going through whatever, learning through those lessons to be very noble. I like the idea of nobility, and I do connect it very much with the language of love. And instead of criticizing someone for their mistakes, which is very easy and very common, choosing to praise them for their strength is a way to empower them and facilitate them in a way for a potential change. Criticize them does not change people, at least in my understanding. On the contrary, it will make them react even more and get stuck. That means nothing gets solved for none of us. People respond to praise with their heart, but they respond to criticism with a very reactive mind. So that people, their language is the language of blaming, accusing, criticize all the time. And you know, if that's the language I use, or you know, when people have that kind of language, they're like clouds. When they disappear from the sky, it turns out a beautiful day. I don't know if we would like to be like that. People wish you to go rather than to come. So switching languages I'm switching languages from Italian to English, but switching languages from the blaming, critical, to a loving attitude. It's really, really the call of this time. There is so much, I would say, so much need of this. In other words, there's so much need of spirituality. And what does it take to say to somebody, for example, in terms of appreciation, I'm proud of you, maybe for just a little thing. And praise gets amplified when it's spoken with other people around. It's like if I praise somebody, that's of course an expression of love, respect, value the other. And if I do it, you know, one-to-one, but if I do it in a group in front of other people, it's magnified 10 times, because it's like sharing with everybody the value I give to you. And I think it's a great help for people's self-esteem and self-value, self-confidence. And language of love is also the language of compassion. I heard you just did the other time self-compassion with Sarah. Language of compassion is such an incredible language of love. And I have a little story here. There was a man practicing meditation, you know, sitting somewhere under a tree, beautiful setting, nice river in front. And then somebody passing by, he just threw a stone at him, disturbing his meditation, his concentration. And so the man, the meditator, got very upset and very angry. And then he went to his teacher and told him what happened and how upset he was. And the master said, I understand you are angry, but don't be angry with the man. You should be angry with the stone. Why are you angry with the man? It's the stone that hit you. So you can be angry with the stone. And of course, the man was pretty surprised and said, well, but is the man responsible? Is the one that threw the stone? And the master continued, you shouldn't be angry with the man either, because just as behind the stone, there was the man. Behind the man, there was his pain. So just like behind the man, behind the stone, there was the man. Behind the man, there was pain. And I find this beautiful in a way, because it just expresses or emphasize that whenever somebody acts wrongly, there is a pain, something damaged behind. So becoming compassionate is not easy. Definitely is not easy, because we get into the idea of it's not right, it's not fair. You know, how dare the other to do that? But if we can go behind the action and relate to the soul, relate to the pain behind that, then I can practice compassion. And in my practice, it was useful to start with a little time, practicing to focus my thought on expressing, mercy and compassion for a little bit, and then increasing, like creating a habit. Because eventually, if you practice over a long period of time, it becomes your language. It's a language. I think every virtue is actually a language. They are vibration, they are languages, they are actually the greatness of the soul. So improve the practice on a daily basis within meditation. It's a great use of meditation moments to practice compassion. And we know that within the language of compassion, there is also the language of forgiveness and the language of gratitude. Gratitude is another incredible language. There was a woman that was taking care of a mother, so dedicated to the old mother that was quite sick. And one day they went to the market, and there was a young girl working there. She helped the old lady with bags, and the mother started praising her so much, like, you are an angel, you know, all sorts of beautiful words, praising the young girl. And the daughter was there, and she felt hurt because the mother never said anything nice to her, acknowledging her dedication to take care of her. And eventually, after a lot of thoughts, she expressed that to the mother and said, I feel hurt because you never tell me anything. You never thank me for what I'm doing for you. And the mother was very surprised because she thought, I gave it for granted that my gratitude was there, enormously there. So never assume that other people know how you feel. And expressing gratitude, let people know that you are great to them. There is this gratitude in your heart. It's actually the language of love, which is very, very powerful. Am I supposed to stop for the meditation?
If you just include the meditation now in whatever way you'd like to, it would be really lovely. You've got so much richness that you could envelop in this next 10 minutes of meditation. So however you'd like to do it would be beautiful.
Yeah, we can do the minutes of meditation.
Okay, great.
So I just relax and withdraw in my sacred space inside. like an inner temple where I meet myself. Meditation is a meeting with myself, a journey in discovering what is really inside my heart and my mind. And I become aware of my thoughts, and I choose them. Being a master of my mind, I choose my thoughts. And right now, I choose to create thoughts of love. They are very peaceful. They are very deep. They are very noble. And the first thought is about compassion. Whoever transits in my mind, because the mind is like a square, people come and go freely. Without invitation, people come, people go. Like clouds. They come and they go. So whoever transits in my mind, I will create a feeling of benevolence, of mercy, of compassion, of acceptance, in spite of who they are, in spite of what they've done to me, in spite of their behavior. I just welcome whoever transits in my mind, a kind of blessing for them. And like a boomerang, when I share these thoughts, sharing good feeling with whoever, like a boomerang, the energy comes back to me, giving me the gift of serenity and deep peace. And healing takes place. Peace will provide the healing energy within my mind and my heart. And I keep doing this exercise in my inner temple. Whoever transits there, I will share feeling of benevolence, mercy, and compassion. They will be like seeds, and people will perceive the energy and respond even from far away. And the serenity and peace that I experience will set a dimension of silence within. I become very silent. And in the silence, love can flourish, power will flourish. And not just now, but during these days, I will carry on this exercise. And this is the gift I can give to whoever I know, I encounter. And when I do this, it's like taking care of people from the heart with the language of subtle love and energy. And if I take care of souls in this way, because they are all children of God, God will take care of me. And the language of love will expand even further, will deepen even more, bringing me close to my true self and to my Father, the highest being, the highest energy, the ocean of love. And I keep entertaining these thoughts in my mind, honoring my mind as a sacred space that I can use as a laboratory, inner laboratory, to build up my inner strength, to reawaken all my qualities and powers, and just to be me. And when I create this energy inside, every cell of my body will benefit. Not just the mind, but my body too. Not just my heart, but everybody's heart. And this vibration, they cannot be closed in a room, but they can travel and reach very far. And that's how the language of love can uplift each other, encourage each other, and change each other. Oh, okay. So it's nice to stop for some moment of meditation actually. It's like, it's a good balance. So we already explored a few languages of love. And I cannot avoid today to remember I don't know if you know Daddy Janki. Daddy Janki has been our former responsible of the Brahma Kumaris for many years, and she has been serving in Europe consistently for many, many years. So we all know Daddy very well. And I guess that if you are in touch with the Brahma Kumaris, you know her also. She definitely masters all these languages. And today we remember her because it's she left this world and her body a year ago, the 27th of March. So we were remembering Daddy Jankis in this early morning. And a language of love that I can, that Daddy reminds me of is the language of friendship. Daddy Junkie, I just came across this phrase a few days ago and it got stuck in my mind because she said, if you consider someone as an enemy, you know, if I think of whoever thinking is an enemy for me, then in my subconscious mind, I will have a sense of fear because enemy means danger. Danger is something that provokes me fear, if not panic. So when there is fear inside myself in some way, love doesn't find a space or a way. So it's actually good. And when I heard this phrase from Daddy, I read it in a class, I thought, what the subtleties. Because if I think of somebody, maybe because he's got a different opinion from me, he's got a different idea, it's just opposite in his way of seeing things. But if I think of the person diversity as somebody enemy to me, even just in my mind, then there's subtle fear that I will carry in my subconscious will be a blockage. And actually what will block is really my capacity to love. And so it made me think, I don't want to consider anybody as enemy because it's very easy to do that. You just need to have a colleague which is very much in competition with you. That competition will make you think the other is an enemy. So it's pretty easy to get into this dual mindset. But it will prevent me to express as I could the language of love. Instead of becoming aware that whatever happened around me, it's just the language of karma. You know, my karma, the effect of my action will come back to me at some point, in some way, in some forms. And if I become aware that the other person is not an enemy, it's just an instrument that brings me back my own karma, then this will improve, will enhance my real sense of humanity. So I was remembering Daddy with our language of friendship. Everybody was a friend to her in her perception. And because she perceived them as friends, and she used to say, "You are my friend," then in case they were enemy, they would also become friends. Because the energy that goes has an impact, and there will be the same energy sooner or later coming back. Maybe not immediately, but I will set the tone of what I want the energy to be when it comes back. Another language that I can relate to thinking of Daddy is the language of trust. Language of love implies trust. Daddy would trust no matter what, whoever. She would never lose trust in someone potential change. Even if somebody was very unfair, it could happen, or with a lot of weaknesses. She would not lose hope and trust in that person, in that soul. And if you keep trusting somebody in spite of their mistakes, and we all do mistakes, no? But if I keep trusting somebody in spite of their mistake, then it's like relating not to the mistakes itself, but to the eternal, original nature of their soul, which is full of virtues, full of goodness. Caroline before mentioned the books I wrote, and one is called The Song of Freedom. It's actually been the first book. I wrote it many, many, many years ago, because the realization was we are so full of virtue, they just need to come out and being expressed, and sometimes we don't even know what they are. And I remember people asking, but what is dignity? What is, I don't know, cheerfulness? And I thought, let me churn them, elaborate them, explore them, for me and for the sake of sharing. And that's how the book came along. Anyway, Daddy farsightedness in looking, beyond, bypassing weaknesses and reaching right the core of the other person, the soul, is such a direct language. That's the true language of love, from soul to soul. If we relate to each other from the surface to the surface, we can be in conflict easily, constantly. It's so sad to see people fighting all the time. What a waste, in a way, even though they might be uncontrolled, but really it's a waste of time, energy, life. Time is life, energy is life. So what a waste of life. What else could I do with my energy, with my thoughts, with my time? And economizing energy, resources. It will, facilitate myself to express something wiser, deeper, love, in essence. And how long do I have still? Sorry, I cannot keep track on time.
That's okay. You've got another 10 minutes if you'd like to use it. Otherwise, we've got lots of questions and we can move to that. That's no problem either. You just let me know what works best for you.
I can share the last things and then we go to the questions.
Okay, sure.
Which I mentioned in the commentary, because I think I like the idea that when we are expressing the energy of love, um, speaking the language, where through encouragement, praise, appreciation, compassion, trust, whatever we mention, you know, when somebody takes care of your children, let's say you are a family, you got children, somebody takes care of your children, you are so grateful to them because they've been taking care of the most precious things you have. So you are grateful to all those who are taking care of your children. And if I think of God, the Father and the Mother, that means if we are unkind, gentle, generous, caring, and encouraging, inspiring, that means I'm taking care of His children. And He will take care of me. And He will teach me the language of love as no teacher can do that. He's the one we have yoga with, and He's the one that can teach us the language of love immensely. So, ready for questions?
Yeah, wonderful. First of all, let me just do a summary of where we've got to. I've been taking lots of notes, so I may jump around. And I think what's really interesting, we advertise 6 qualities, and I've noted down at least 9, but I'm sure there were more in between. So, and I love that. You started out by talking about encouragement. I thought that's wonderful because it's not the typical one you think is going to come out, especially first. And coming from the root of the Latin speaking world, of course, the inside of encouragement is to give courage, and the root of courage is cœur, which is heart, right? So it's to help people connect to the power that's in their heart, to give them that courage, which is of course the center of love. So that was really, really beautiful. And this idea of listening and being an instrument to draw the best out through listening to someone. Like, and I know you say it's like putting attention and care to people's feelings as you listen. So it's listening to more than just the words they say, and being really present. So I love that. Uplifting people when they're broken. That's just an exquisite idea that it's okay, we all get broken. And a language of love is to allow the space and the energy, the vibration, because you said at the beginning, the language of love is feelings, vibration, it's through the eyes. It's a very intimate thing. I want to ask you some questions about that. And then praise and appreciation, and not just from in a one-on-one situation or sending a text or an email, but if you do that in front of others, it multiplies, it magnifies, and people feel seen, they feel recognized. And obviously, as you said, it's about kind of going counterculture, which is all about criticism and, you know, pointing out mistakes. And if you go counterculture and recognize people's value, so it's not praise for the sake of praise, it's genuine valuing. Beautiful. And then I think I'm going to borrow this story about compassion. I love that. What a powerful metaphor, you know, get angry with the stone, but that's ridiculous. Behind the stone's the man, yeah, but behind the man is pain. You go, oh, absolutely. But it's more invisible, so you don't see that. You stop at them. That's just a powerful story. Then number 6 was forgiveness, which often comes out of compassion when you have that understanding. Then you talked about gratitude, and that was also a beautiful story of the daughter feeling hurt when the mother was so effusive with a stranger, really, and feeling like I do everything and you don't. Oh, but you know I do. No, we need to say it. We need to express what we feel and how much we appreciate others. Then we have the lovely meditation and this idea, so beautiful, that whoever transit, like and in Europe you have the square in every town, every village. In Australia we don't have that so much, but it's in Europe, it's what makes community very powerful, because people go and sit in the square and feed the pigeons, and you know, it's a big community place. But people come and they go, and it's like that happens in the mind as well. Let them come, let them go, and send them on their way with a blessing, even if there's been pain there, knowing that that will do its work and it will come back to you. Very, very beautiful, like a boomerang. Then we brought the memory of Daddy Janki in here, and it's true, she always called everyone her friend, didn't she? And I think this is very powerful. We know from some of the very contemporary teachers today in the world of self-awareness that belonging and connection are, human beings are hardwired to need that, to want that, to feel as if they belong, to feel the connection. And when you make someone your enemy, you disconnect yourself and the other, but you make someone your friend. And there's that saying, right? The easiest way to destroy your enemy is make them your friend, which is a wonderful thing.
Right.
And then finally, you talked about trust as fundamental. And then this idea that if a parent is really, a mother is really so grateful if you take good care of her children, and all of those blessings come back to you. So if you have this sense that we're all brothers and sisters, we're all one of, children of the same parent, and I take care, then the parent takes care of me too. So they're my summary thoughts. I think are really
very good summary, Caroline.
I'll send it to you later, because I find it really beautiful. It was because for me it was a shift on what I expected. I expected, I don't know what I expected, but I loved the beauty and the practicality, like this combination, that it's really beautiful. Each of these qualities, so beautiful and yet so practical. There are things to be done, whether it's attitude or generosity and, taking action. There are things, and I love the idea of when you said remaining kind, no matter what anyone however anyone is treating you. And I thought, wow, that's a power, to be able to stay kind. So I'm going to ask you, I've got some questions here that have already come in. I want to remind everyone, we've got another good 20 minutes of questions, even more. And then we'll have another meditation, which is a beautiful Carmen Warrington meditation on love. So please do send in questions if you've got them. We'd love to delve into them. So I've got a number of them here, and I'm going to begin with this one. When your heart is broken because you haven't known how to love well in the past, maybe you've not been good with boundaries, maybe you've lived in some dysfunction, maybe you grew up in a family where that was challenging, where your parents didn't know how to love well, maybe you got married to someone who didn't love you as well as you hoped they would. There's a lot of broken heart in the world. And I know for me that, loss also, when you lose people that you've loved, it's challenging to love again in that very personal way. And I remember at one point, I was so sad when I started meditating. I had these amazing experiences of God, this energy of God's love. And then it stopped, and my heart honestly felt like this table underneath the computer, rock hard, like it was padlocked closed, and I couldn't feel anything again after I'd experienced. So how do you open your heart when you've lost trust? So you say trust is fundamental. When you don't trust, your heart doesn't trust anymore. How do you make your heart strong enough that doesn't matter what happens, it's independent and it loves anyway? What do you do, Antonella?
Yeah. For quite a long time, I used to think of whatever happened to me in the past that was, something not nice that I experienced. There was a kind of bad memory that broke my heart. Whenever I was thinking of the past, thinking, poor me, what I've been going through, I had that trauma. So I would relate to my past as a victim. Because poor me, I had to go through all these and people did this to me and etc. etc. So my thought was I've been under a trauma or under a bad experience, which, like a victim. And nothing would change. Actually, I would entertain those memory and make them even bigger.
Yeah.
No healing whatsoever would take place. Actually, it would expand. One day, I had this thought. I haven't got any trauma. The experience was actually, a training for me. And to keep thinking as a bad memory is my choice. So today I choose to thank the experience and close it. And I think probably I reached the bottom, I don't want to carry that burden any longer. I don't know if you know the story of somebody carrying a big load on his head, and then a truck passing by and said, poor man, just come on the truck and relax. And the man sat at the back of the truck, but still with the load on his head.
Yeah.
So what's the point of getting a lift, just for the sake of not walking, but the load was still on his head. So it's like we carry the load on our head in spite of people trying to help us, God trying to help us, situation trying to say, get clean and free. And we keep carrying the load. It's a choice. And probably we get into that pattern because of a habit. We are used to think in a certain way, victim style, like a syndrome. And then it's so easy to just go along with that, and people around it do the same. So we encounter each other and we talk about how bad that was, how, that's our conversation. And nothing works and nothing changes. So the time I decided I will never say I've got a trauma. I will never say it because of somebody else I feel like this, because I will be lacking my real responsibility. Everything switched. And one person specifically that I was considering, the main figure, how do you say, the main...
The antagonist in your story.
Yeah. So I started seeing that good things. Like, wow, she's got this quality and she's actually kind and she's actually good. I started changing my vision. But that happened just because of one thought and one determined decision.
Yeah.
I'm not in, you know, in sorrow, in pain, because it's like holding to that.
Yeah.
If I've got the sickness and the surgeon is willing to operate me, and I will hold to, you know, the sick cells, I will die.
Mm.
And spiritually, we die. The energy is completely depleted if I don't intervene with my thought, because it's my thought that build up the idea of people going against me, damaging me. And I remember that moment of a very strong shifting moment. And
Yeah.
today I'm very glad because that person is still very present in my life, and we are like, how do you say, honey and milk.
Well.
And but it was one thought.
Mm.
So don't underestimate the power of thought, because one can make the difference.
Yeah. Very powerful. Because I was
I
thinking.
guess has
Sorry.
been building up. I mean, one thought that can change my mindset, it doesn't come up as a mushroom, as we say in Italian, you know, it doesn't come up like this in one day. It's been like an energy that build up, like I don't want this pain anymore, I don't want these thoughts anymore, I would like to be free from this. So it's a building up of a will, and then eventually you get it.
Yeah. That's lovely, isn't it? So it's like you're taking a new road, and you come to a fork in the road, and you choose which one you go. You're going to design the future for yourself with your different way of thinking. And and of course that's very idealistic in a sense, because what can happen, of course, I know in Italy a few years ago you had a terrible earthquake, and I lived in Chile for over a decade, and they have, tremors and earthquakes all the time, and some of the biggest earthquakes in the history of the world. And what happens is that when there's an earthquake and people go through their experience, which is very traumatic for some people, I have a friend there who feels it's like being rocked in the cradle of the universe. So he has a nice experience, but most people find it very terrifying when it's 8.4 and they're on the 24th floor or something. And then there's many aftershocks that come. And when the aftershocks come, they're much less. And the Chileans are used to, 6.5 is like just a small tremor. But if it's an aftershock that comes after the big earthquake, their body goes straight back into the trauma. So it's not even a thought, it's just an immediate response. And we know in the teachings within Raj Yoga, the mind, intellect, sanskats, the subconscious, when something triggers you from the outside at a very subconscious level, you react without any thought. The thoughts come later, it's the emotions that come. So what I'm loving about what you're saying is it's a conscious practice to, as those things start to happen, you're being the witness of them, and you're going, I'm not going there. I'm going down this road. And it's not to deny it if it comes, but you make a choice, you breathe and you go, I'm choosing a new thought. And step by step, you create a new road or pathway. So you leave the story, the limiting story behind. So does that make sense in what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also as meditators and loving to connect with the divine, with God, then the practice I have found very useful, sorry, was to sit and give whatever burden or whatever past experiences to him, saying if there is somebody that can really help me and effectively is him. So a bit of faith is very useful.
Okay, so I love this idea. How do you do that? And I love the story about the man with the burden on the truck and still carrying the burden. But how do you do that? And maybe for those who don't have a strong belief or experience of a relationship with a higher being, a higher power, source, God, whatever language people feel comfortable with, but it's more distant than that. How do you give over your trauma? What do you do?
I always felt that God is a being, and as a being, we build up a relationship. Like if I want to know you more, I just call you and talk to you, and we build up a relationship talking, relating, sharing. And so when the one came in my life, I actually had a rejection for God. So I couldn't stand even the word God in Italian. That was the rejection level. But when they introduced to him like energy, a being that you can relate and share like a being, that was enchanting for me. Like say, I can relate to him talking, a dialogue, sharing, and he surely knows me more than people. Who knows me more than him? No one. So he can advise me very nicely and effectively because he knows what is going on inside myself, maybe more than myself itself. And so I think any relationship implies giving time and putting in something, talking to each other, relating, sharing. That's why when I sit in meditation, there is a portion of time that I use to clean whatever happened, like just release, event, then connect with myself as a soul, and then I can't help that invite him to join the moment. And that becomes a pull, like a magnet and a needle, because I like the word that says love beget love, remembrance beget remembrance. So I know that there is this principle in spirituality that when you remember him, he remembers you. Very comfortable. So I just need to think of God, he will think of me, and we have a dialogue. Something very simple, like a child will remember his grandfather or his father or his mother and start talking. When I was a little girl, I remember having a little angel on the wall, and I would talk to that angel, and that angel was very friendly. It was just a little piece of things on the wall, but it was meaning like talk to the universe, talk to something which is invisible, that you can feel it in a way. And when I came in the Brahma Kumaris, I remember that feeling of talking to somebody invisible. In that case was a little statue of an angel, a little, things on the wall. But here I had the information of how to talk to God. And that enchanted me a lot, like a relationship. I have a relationship with the people I live with. I have a relationship with whoever is just in my life. I have a relationship with God as a subtle energy that I can talk to. And when I create this kind of silence inside, I'm able to listen to him because he talks a lot. I think to know God for what he is is really fascinating. And in my experience, he talks a lot. He's really talking. I just need to be available to listen.
And
Some
when you
people don't listen to anybody, even if they get advice, they don't care. They just go with their own, with their own idea. But being available to listen will open my heart and will allow myself to be available to the surgery that he can do on my heart, like a surgeon. And so whatever bad stuff I carry with me, let me open up to the surgeon and talk to him. He can do a lot, can help me a lot. But not out of blind faith, that's something I didn't like it, out of an experience.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Oh, strange audio for a moment. Thank you, Antonella. I think I just want to pick up on something there because, you live in the heartland of, Western Christian institutionalized, claiming of God and turning God into something that can be used to control human beings. So I think a lot of people have challenges today with this, with an old idea of what God, not an old, an inherited idea of a God that is part of a patriarchal institutional environment that is about power and control of the masses. And so what I'm hearing you say is that make it a personal experiment. Be open and experiment. And when you say God talks a lot, maybe it's not words, maybe for some you hear words, but maybe it's like energy, it's feelings. Is that what you're meaning?
Yeah. It's like if you have a question and you pose it to him and just stay silent. Silence in between is what allow me to listen to the response.
Yeah.
Sometime, many years ago, there was a journalist that interviewed me. And while he was interviewing me, I could feel he wasn't listening to the answer.
Mm.
And so the article went out in the newspaper saying I was a Buddhist. And he invented everything because he wasn't listening to my answer. He was so busy thinking of the next question. So this can happen to us. We give a question to God, and then we keep thinking waste and, lost in our emotions, and we don't listen the answer. So we came up with other things.
Yeah.
But if I'm able to just ask a question and be silent, just listen, then I will perceive the answer. I will perceive what he has to tell me, how he can guide me. Or maybe he just wash away my emotions, which happened. You just feel the energy that wash away your negativity, and you come out fresh and clean and with a new enthusiasm. It happened to me many times, and it's so refreshing.
Yeah, I
You
get
just
that.
need to listen.
I can feel this is very much an answer that's coming from your experience. So that's what makes it very possible to enter in and experiment with that. And of course, I know that there are a lot of people can have reactions to gender, like God as a he, as a father, but I think what I hear from you in your clarity with your relationship is you make it personal, however that relationship is for you, and the language of love for you, that's what you use. And it's your personal relationship. It's not anything to do with anyone else. And that's very beautiful. We have come to the end of this part of the program, we're going to have another meditation, which is going to be our beautiful friend and Sister Carmen Warrington. She has many meditation CDs. And so I think we're going to listen to one now on the language of love. Antonella, when we come back from the meditation, I'm just going to close and talk about next week. So on behalf of everyone present and from myself, I've loved being here with you and these very beautiful, very practical and beautiful. And I have to keep saying it because that's what they are for me. Not just ideas, but practices. So thank you so much for being with us all.
Thanks to you, thanks to everybody in the team, and thanks to whoever was listening. And that was a pleasure for me.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to call for us to go to that meditation now. And I know that we're going to have some image on the screen. So however is comfortable for you to sit and just allow your eyes to rest on the same image that Antonella's got there behind her, I think, this point of light. And just allow yourself to be guided by the words and the music for the next 9 or 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and close off. Thank you. Thanks, Antonella.
I accept myself now. My past, my aspirations, my hopes, my dreams, my achievements, and my mistakes all merge within the present moment. I relax into who I am. I accept myself as I am. I tune into the silent stillness of my being and connect with the original qualities of my spirit. Gentleness, strength, happiness, with gentleness, I live a life of love, not control, love. I have the strength to pursue my own journey, to find truth, and to live truth. When I am at one with the love inside me, I experience happiness. pure simplicity of my spirit, I find only love. Not the desire to control or direct, but real love. A love that surrounds me in gentleness and acceptance, contentment and humility. I am love. I allow the experience of love, not seeking it externally, but recognizing it as part of my inner nature. I feel the power of this love, uplifting me and awakening my innate divinity. I become love. I allow love to radiate through my spirit and reveal itself in my thoughts, my words, my actions. I observe without judgment, and I reveal love. I speak without arrogance, and I teach love. I act without complexity, and I become love. As I become love, I become divine. I am divine, and my life expresses the pure gentleness of my spirit. I feel a deep sense of belonging to the world, and the world belonging to me. Through the power of my own divinity, I cooperate with love's task of revealing truth. And healing the world.
Wow, that was just beautiful. What a glorious way to finish off such a rich and intimate evening of deep spiritual truths. So everyone, thank you very much. As we've already said, thank you to Antonella, and there are many comments that are coming in saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Antonella, it was wonderful. Thanks for such a great session. Antonella, it was wonderful. Thank you, Antonella. So thank you, Antonella. We look forward to next time you grace the shores of this very big island down the bottom of the world, or at the top, whichever way you're looking from.
Thank you to you from heart.
Thank you. So, Pete, we're going to have a look at some of the takeaways for this week. Thank you all also for your questions. We got through most of them, even though I only asked one or two, but in the conversation they got kind of folded in, so that was great. You might like to have a browse online at our bookshop, which is called Eternity Inc. And it has a full online range of books on self-empowerment, spirituality, and they're always at not-for-profit prices. So we cover the costs of what it takes to produce and deliver them, but that's how they come to you at that price. If you'd like to subscribe to Open Your Eyes to the Universe to receive monthly updates, please email us at the email that's on the screen, which is special.events@au.brahmakumaris, spelt as it is there, .org. And then you'll get an invitation and a link to every episode. You won't miss out. Our next episode of Open Your Eyes to the Universe is on Saturday, the 24th of April, same time, 6 to 7:30 p.m. and we'll have reverted to Australian Eastern Standard Time, not daylight saving time anymore. So not that it should make any difference on that day. You should be well and truly used to it. Maybe it happens that day, I'm not sure. The day after. I don't know when it happens, but I was told to read it, so there it is. It's been really lovely to have the opportunity to work with the team, unbelievable behind the scenes team here, and this very beautiful creation that is co-created with all of you who show up each month and bring your hearts, bring your minds, bring your whole being to be present and support what is happening here. So thank you very much, everyone, for your presence. It really is a gift. And as Gabriel will still be in New Zealand next month, I will be back again and look forward to seeing you then with our special guests that are being confirmed as I sign off now. So good night, everyone, and thanks so much.